go ahead and get rolling. What you think, Doc?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Like we said before, thank everyone. Nia, Cassidy, Breeze, thank you so much for joining us on today. Just speaking with you about an opportunity that Julie and I, we took advantage of during our time as students and pretty much just finished up one of the highest degree that we'll have in our lives in regards to a doctorate degree. So we'll go ahead and get started. So this session is titled A Doctorate Degree, Believe It, Receive It, and Achieve It, and just excited to discuss an opportunity and just hopefully inspire you and motivate you to either, if you're in a doctoral program, you keep going, or if you're thinking about starting a doctoral program, for you to get started, okay? So we'll go ahead and tell a little bit about ourselves really quick. So just meeting me, my name is Dr. Dexter Shorter, and I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. I did my undergraduate degree at Central Michigan University in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Graduated with a Bachelor of Applied Arts degree in Sports Studies. From there, I went to Austin Peay State. That is located in Clarksville, Tennessee. I know I got some fellow governors on the line, and Nia, so thanks for joining us, Nia. Graduated twice from Austin Peay with 2 master's degrees, 2 one-year programs. So very great opportunity there. My first professional stop was at the University of North Alabama in Florence, Alabama, where I served in the Department of Recreational Sports and Fitness. And I served as a coordinator for intramurals and club sports there. Then Ohio State called me up to Columbus in 2012. And then midway, over halfway through my tenure there, I became a doctoral student, a graduate student in their higher education and student affairs program. I was a part of the first cohort of this program on the EDD side, the Doctor of Education side. And out of that cohort, I was the only guy within that cohort. So just blessed to be the first man to graduate from Ohio State with this degree this past May 9th. Spent 7 years there professionally and of course 4 years there academically. And then in 2019, Penn State University and University Park, PA gave my family and I a call, and just everything pointed towards Happy Valley in regards to our professional career and what we wanted to accomplish. But again, just want to say I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. Excited to discuss this opportunity and the subject with all of you on today. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Springer.
Thanks, Dr. Shorter. Really quick, just want to welcome you all to our session. As Dr. Shorter touched on earlier, one thing, that really gave us this idea was, two inner city guys growing up in Chicago, Detroit, Michigan. This was not always something that we necessarily thought was attainable, nor was it something that we even thought about, coming into high school, heading into college, even during undergrad. So this was something that we thought you all could really take something from. A little bit about my story. Born and raised in Chicago. My first stop as an undergrad student, I went to Southern Illinois University. Spent 4 years there. My undergrad degree was in recreation. I had a minor in coaching. I always had a passion for coaching as well. Then I moved on to Central Michigan University, where I actually met Dr. Shorter. Spent 2 years there. My graduate degree was in athletic administration. Coming out of grad school, I knew I wanted to head into recreation, but mostly if I could land a coaching job, that's what I wanted to do. So I was fortunate. I ended up at Elma College, where I was the director of campus recreation, and I was also the assistant men's basketball coach. So I did that for 2 years. Had an opportunity to head to Jackson State University, Division I level. I didn't want to pass up on that opportunity to coach at that level. I spent a year there. While there, I found an opportunity to receive another master's degree, and that master's degree was in health, physical education, and recreation. So I left after a year because I ended up getting a head coaching opportunity at the college level, and that was at Rock Valley College. The degree was flexible, so I hadn't finished my master's degree from Jackson State, but I was able to work on it remotely, and I finished it during my time at Rock Valley. From there, we had some success. In addition to my responsibilities as the head basketball coach, I was also an assistant athletic director during my time at Rock Valley. we had some success in my 2 years, so it catapulted me to another head coaching position at Kankakee Community College, where I had the privilege of also holding multiple positions on campus. So I was also the academic success coordinator, where I was responsible for all of academics within our athletic department. I was also the assistant chair for the physical education department, and I also instructed courses. So a majority of my experiences were there. I moved on. I left coaching to take on a director of athletics position at Malcolm X College. From there, I joined the coaching staff once again at Northern Illinois University, but this time my plan was to also start my doctoral program. So I was able to start there, moved on to University of Alabama at Birmingham. I was associate director for facilities and guest services within the collegiate recreation department. From there, had an opportunity to come back closer to home. I joined the coaching staff, Bradley University, high-level basketball program. I didn't want to pass up on that opportunity. And all of that led me here to Colgate University, where I'm the director of physical education and recreation, and I'm the chair of the physical education department. So a lot of different opportunities, and we'll go into how that doctoral degree assisted in elevating me to these levels and also just allowing that flexibility. So we'll move on.
Thanks, Julian. Appreciate that, man. So here's the plan. Here's how we want to spend the remainder of our time talking with everyone on today. And for those of you who are just joining us, thank you so much. I'm navigating both of these. I'm trying to be on the Zoom and the feed loop so we can pay attention to the chats on both screens. But here's what we want you to take away, or here's what we want to accomplish. We want to discuss the opportunities and obstacles of being a doctoral student, earning a terminal degree, of course, while balancing other personal and professional priorities in your life. I think it's important for Julie and I to stop and kind of tell everyone, we accomplished these degrees. We had professional experience. We both are married, happily married. We have children and things of that nature. So there was a lot of balance going on in our lives in regards to being a student, being a father, being a husband, being a professional, that we kind of want to just inform you of in regards to no matter where we were in our lives, like we were hungry for more. And this is something that we both wanted to do in our lives. And we just kept in touch with each other, just really pushed on each other, just to make sure that we were keeping moving forward. And then the next thing that we want you to take away or want you to be able to do during this time with us is basically be able to articulate the value of pursuing a doctoral degree as a future professional. Now, if you're already a professional, great. And then if you're already in the program or you're thinking about starting a program, so we want you to be able to articulate the value of pursuing or basically staying within a doctoral degree if you're already in a program yourself. So we don't want to leave anyone out. But being that this is a better Building Better Students Conference, our assumption is pursuing a terminal degree as you make your way into whatever field of human endeavor that you choose to pursue. And then lastly, we want you to understand the strengths and the differences of an EDD degree versus a PhD degree. Dr. Springer and I, we both have a Doctor of Education degree, so we have the first one. And then we're going to touch a little bit about what we know about the PhD side based on what we have heard from our colleagues that may have went to school with us, and maybe some of the things that we have researched before we started our program, just to decide which route that we want to go. So just really defining the significance and the importance of our discussion. We just hope that this motivates you, inspires you, and basically just allow you to really get in the mindset of this is attainable. This is something that is just not set aside for the greatest of the great or the smartest of the smart. You're talking to two inner city young men who grew up in various different areas of life and things of that nature, and we just kind of want you to be encouraged to go ahead and push forward if you're already in the program, or really just continue to do your research and make moves towards starting the program if that's in your mind today. Okay, so just being mindful of that. So we have our first question. If you don't mind, if you can navigate whether it's on your smartphone or on your computer, or to be honest with you, since this group is so small, if y'all want to open up your mics, please feel free to chat with us in regards to why are you thinking about pursuing a PhD or an EDD, assuming that you came here to be informed in regards to what the process is like, assuming that you came here that you are interested in either continuing or going for a terminal degree. But go to menti.com, enter the code here. I'll slide that presentation over to see what populates, or if you want to open up your mic, of course my lights go off. If you want to open up your mic and go from there, it's okay. I feel like you guys can see me. Open up your mic and kind of explain to us what's on your mind in regards to pursuing a terminal degree at this stage in your life. So go ahead and engage with us a little bit, and let's go ahead and make some things happen really quick. So as you travel to menti.com and you enter that code, we have, you can definitely see what you are saying. Dr. Beeman, definitely appreciate you being online with us today. If you have any input on this question as well from your experiences, we greatly appreciate that too.
So hi, my name is Cassidy. I haven't really decided if I'm going to get a PhD or EDD yet, but I don't see a reason not to. So I'm just trying to get, as much information and try to figure it out from there.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Cassidy. And that's something that, again, that's the goal of this conversation. I feel like Julie and I, we have similar backgrounds, and like I didn't grow up knowing a person with a PhD, at least to my knowledge. So I didn't have these conversations, until I didn't start having these conversations until a couple of years ago in regards to what this means and how to go for it and things of that nature. So there's one more minute. Anyone else kind of want to?
I'll tackle that. I'll tackle a little bit of that, Dex, while we're waiting. First off, good to hear your voice, Cass. I know you're doing great things. Looking forward to catching up. But hopefully we can give you some informative information throughout this session to at least get your mind, moving in a direction either way. But honestly, I don't think you can go wrong with either, but it's just finding out, which area you'd like to pursue and then looking into different programs. So we'll touch on it soon.
Absolutely. Cool.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cassidy. All right, let's go ahead and move forward in regards to the rest of the presentation. So thank you for that small engagement. So this is where we're going to go through a little bit of a pros and cons list in regards to not necessarily either degree, but at the same time going for a terminal degree period. So we're not going to put either degree against each other, at least yet. But at the same time, we're going to go over pros and cons list in regards to some of the things that you can look forward to or that you can expect. And then basically some things that might not be, the icing of the cake, or it might be a little bit of like, geez, this is a part of it too type of thing. But we still want to encourage you because you are looking at two gentlemen that get through it as well. So I'll start with the pros list, and then I'll turn it over to Dr. Springer for the cons list. So the earning potential in regards to your financial health is definitely, it's definitely possible that you can have a higher earning potential or a different earning potential, if you will, than if you did not have a degree. I know these type of degrees qualify you for some senior leadership positions, and without it, I'm not saying that it's not possible, but at the same time, like it definitely, this degree definitely signals that you are qualified for those higher level positions. And of course, Dr. Springer and I, we're in higher education, so maybe some of the language that you're going to hear is from a higher education lens. So, you might hear vice president or president of a university or director or anything like that. So just, if you can, just transfer that to whatever field of human endeavor you choose to pursue, or you might say chair or something like that. So career flexibility in regards to giving you multiple different avenues that you can go down with this degree or with a PhD or an EDD. I know for me, like our degree, to be honest with you, Julie and I, our degrees in higher education for the most part, but I don't think there's any doubt that we can go to like a high school education if we really wanted to be like a supervisor or or principal or anything like that, or dean of students, and things of that nature. I do think that our career is flexible, or serve in like the high school athletic association, like your state high school athletic association as a commissioner. I definitely think that those are things that we can do within this degree, and it will make us qualified and signal that we can get things done. Mental toughness, it definitely can. Yeah, this is something that, you would definitely, get down and grind and put your head down and keep moving forward. Like, that's the best thing that I believe Julie and I can tell you in regards to just the mental fortitude that you develop from, just getting through some of the toughest things or the toughest times of your life, especially if you're balancing a lot. The pinnacle of educational attainment, so the highest degree that you can attain, and basically learning skills at a high level within an opportunity or within an experience. A PhD program will give you those type of opportunities. And then advanced training and professional development. Julie and I, we just went through 4 years of training with some of the best, some of the people that probably have wrote the book of student development theory, or what it means to do qualitative research. Like, we're training with those people, those type of people, 16 weeks out of a semester, and really just continue to professionally develop ourselves, for the last 4 years, and really taking advantage of what our full-time benefits had to offer us as higher education professionals. And then a credential for senior leadership positions. Like I said, this degree signals that you're qualified for. This degree signals that you have the skills and the knowledge and the wisdom to apply a lot of things that you have learned in the class to make things better in your position, or to really figure things out or solve problems within these type of positions. Then lastly, on my side, a high sense of accomplishment. Once you're done with this, you definitely feel like, it's a heavy, it's a weight off your shoulders, but at the same time, you really feel like you did something very significant and important, not only for you, but maybe for your family. And I do think it's power and visibility in regards to be honest with you, like two men like us, that, from Detroit, Michigan and Chicago, Illinois, respectively, who are, going back to their neighborhoods and sharing their testimony in regards to, if I can do it, you can do it type of thing. So I'll turn it over to Julian, and he'll go over some of the things that you might want to think about in regards to, some of the things we have to navigate.
Thanks, Dex. Cons. There are tons of reasons why you can think of not doing it or putting off looking into these credentials. Number one, the application process, and as I mentioned before, that's just for starters. It's a million reasons where you can say, hey, I'll put this off. That's the reason it's only 2% of the world that have attained a doctoral degree or any terminal degree. So number one is the application process. It's overwhelming, and a lot of times, everyone is busy. So as these departments, mention what it takes to actually complete the application process, from reference letters, and for many times will be removed from, the last time we attended college. So now you have to dig up your old transcripts. That's a process in general. You need to reach out to these universities or any institution that you started, classes at, and you need to find every different, set of coursework that you experience. Also, you have, I mentioned the reference letters. You have a letter an entry letter that you may need to write. Some departments may look at your resume. All these things you may need to gather to create a packet to turn in, and it's not always a ton of time to get this information in. A lot of times you may need it 6 months ahead to apply for a certain program. Another reason, it's time consuming. The entire process in regards to, being involved in a degree program is time consuming and a lot of times inconvenient. During my time in attaining this doctorate, I remember I moved to a new city. I took a new job. I had my third child, all while working on this degree, so it was not a lot of time, but it was something that I decided I'm jumping into, I'm putting 2 feet in and I'm going to finish it. Another con, is it a need versus a want? These are conversations you have with yourself and other people, and this can slow you down and prevent you from just diving in. You know, a lot of people decide early what they want to do, you know, as far as career attainment, and they make the decision, okay, this is something I need to catapult me forward. Other people, it's just a lifelong dream. It's something that they've always wanted to look into, and that becomes a want. The overqualified tag, especially now as university leadership and other areas really monitor their budgets closely and during the hiring process, it's easy to look at someone who has attained a terminal degree and say, man, can we afford them? Or is this someone that we can keep in this position? Well, that's not to deter you, but those are conversations that you may be involved with. But on the flip side of that, I'd rather be in that conversation, and having this terminal degree will get you in different conversations as far as other positions that maybe you wouldn't have had an opportunity to be involved with if not for the case that you attain this degree. More coursework and the dissertation process. Some people make up their minds after grad school or after undergrad. Like myself, I'm done with school. I'm not going back. This is all I need. But as you decide and you do more research and you figure out where your life is headed, you may decide that, hey, I will sacrifice and dive back into some more coursework. The dissertation process, you know, and you all will hear as you look more into it, they always say the best dissertation is a finished one. So again, it doesn't matter what area you decided to focus on. There are a lot of people that begin coursework in this degree area, and by the time they get to their dissertation, they are just so spent, and they thought it would be, will come a lot easier. And you hear the term ABD, and you always see it on a resume. As you look to hire, you'll see the term ABD, and that's all but dissertation. And that means that someone figured, they made it all the way through the rigorous course load, and then they hit the dissertation, and it became so strenuous that they decided, hey, this degree is no longer worth it, or I'll put this off because I'm so busy, and I'll work on this, I'll get back to it. And many never do. The associated cost pertaining to a terminal degree. Is it worth it? Should I take on these extra student loans? Or I'll wait. A lot of people just wait until they figure out a way to get a scholarship or some type of assistance through the university. But that could be, you can put this off for years waiting on the perfect situation. So you have to find the right program. Is it worth the cost associated with it? And then you just make it work the best way you can. And lastly, there are no financial or career guarantees once attaining the degree, and these are things that you have to assess in your career field. A lot of times you may have the education. Obviously, a terminal degree is the pinnacle of your education process, but at the same time, you need your experiences to slowly equal out to this degree that you attain. So again, these are things you need to think about. There are no guarantees, but the likelihood of being in a different conversation, whether that be earning potential or in a position that you would normally be ready for or have a chance to get, is very likely. So no guarantees, but you can definitely be in a better position. So I'm gonna hand it over to you, Dex.
Absolutely. No, thank you for that, Julian. I appreciate that. And just thinking about something that I've heard, in my career, maybe people have alluded to this in your life as well, or your lives as well, in regards to it's just a piece of paper. But I just challenge that, and I submit to you to debunk that statement. It's actually more than just a piece of paper. If it was just a piece of paper, I feel like a lot more people would go for it, and that 2% of the world that only have terminal degrees would be higher. But I just want to share with you, like, it's really a key to multiple different doors, right? Like, you can have access to a lot of different things with this credential supporting you or it's on your resume. It's really just something that could just like, Julian's words in regards to skyrocket or catapult you to a different level in your life or a different level in your career. And really just put you in a different place than what you have ever thought. Now, again, like we just said, is it a want versus a need? Like you have to assess that yourself. But at the same time, and also just going back to what Julia said, there are really no guarantees. After you get done, there's work to do. It's not like you cross the stage and you walk into a 7-figure salary. No, there's things that you still have to position yourself in regards to serving and still being a part of associations and being a part of different network groups and really building relationships and actually getting people and allowing people to know who you are as a person in order to be successful. So just really want to say, like, it's more than just a piece of paper. Like, don't let anyone tell you that. And pretty much like the people that have told me that, they don't have the degree. So like, tell them to get to the cheap seats of your life in regards to the feedback and stay back there. Don't tell them that, just direct it at the same time. But don't give that stuff permission to enter into your mind if this is something that you want to do, okay? So this is something that Julie and I kind of discussed, again, coming from a higher education lens for the most part, and try to make it, I feel like you can get a terminal degree in almost anything, to be honest with you. But these are some of the things that we were interested in, when we started off and within our program, we were at the beginning stages of our program. So both of us, we are recreation professionals, collegiate recreation professionals. And then Julian is on the academic side as well in his position at Colgate in New York. And then we also, we're interested in sport management in regards to what does that look like for us as higher education professionals who are serving through the vehicle of collegiate recreation on a university's campus. Kinesiology, a lot of movement there in regards to how the body works and things of that nature. So that could have been something that we were studying. And then, of course, both of us got our ADDs in higher education or educational studies or educational leadership, but specifically more so higher education and student affairs. For the most part. And these higher education and student affairs on the EDD side, like those are typically like the senior administrators or the directors that we usually run into on our college campuses. Not necessarily, primarily faculty. They may have some teaching responsibilities in regards to adjunct faculty or clinical instructor or anything like that. But for the most part, these are the people that serve as a principal, if you will, of a high school, if you want to translate that to, the president or the vice president or AVP, associate vice president or assistant vice president on our campuses. Public administration in regards to, developing policy and guidelines in regards to what this looks like within our communities. So there are PhDs or EDDs in that sector as well. And then lastly, educational leadership and policy, again, kind of hand in hand with public administration, but at the same time, really trying to be a leader in the educational field in order to make sure that things are accessible, students are having a quality experience, and we're just creating extraordinary opportunities for students to gain while they are on our campuses, okay? So those are some of the terminal degree tracks that we thought of that kind of we know about and that we're familiar with. Again, there are multiple, there are way more terminal degree tracks that you can go for. And it's up to you to do the research. We're just wanting to kickstart the conversation and build a foundation from here, okay?
Absolutely. And one thing we really wanted to, emphasize was, the enormous variety in the career paths. Obviously we are higher education professionals, but as Dex mentioned, there are corporate positions, secondary education. There are a lot of ways that these degrees are transferable. And as you start to look at job descriptions, you'll look more into, okay, what would I learn during my coursework during this program? What kind of coursework is there? Who is also involved in the degree program? What experiences have my instructors had? So, obviously at the top of the higher education org chart is a university president. You also have vice presidents of student affairs, but with the terminal degree, depending on which you choose, you have provost, which obviously would be similar to the vice presidents on the academic side, academic affairs. Assistant or associate vice president, directors within the student affairs division. So those cover a lot of different areas as you do more research. Policy analysts, dean of students, professors, instructors, whether that's at the university level, the community college level. Also, I mean, there's a desire at the high school level to have PhD or an EDD as well. Athletic administration is a growing field where more research is becoming valuable. So again, terminal degrees are becoming more and more, you'll see in that field as well. Corporate positions, you know, again, similar to undergraduate degrees, master's degrees, sometimes a terminal degree just says you are capable of this level of leadership or this level of, you know, comprehension or, you know, your ability to do a job. So it transfers over to the corporate positions. Consulting is huge. You know, a lot of times it may not be a particular position that you lean towards once you attain this degree. Sometimes consulting becomes more of an arena because what it says when you achieve that terminal degree is, I am an expert in this area. So naturally, that would lead to more speaking engagements, you know, whether you write books on a particular subject, anything you want to do, it allows for that consulting piece. And then lastly, as I mentioned, secondary education. So again, these are just some, and as you guys do more research, just keep an eye out for different areas that a terminal degree can directly relate to.
Absolutely. Thanks, Julian, for sure. Cool. So I know we didn't have anyone pop in to menti.com for the first one, but if anyone just wants to open their mics up in regards to, now we're going to get into, you know, the PhDs, not necessarily versus EDDs, but just discuss maybe some differences. And again, like just the strengths. I don't want to put PhD versus EDD like it's, you know, it's a competition by any means, because I do think they're both valuable depending on what you want your career to look like and things of that nature. So if anyone wants to open up their mic or engage with us on the menti.com, again, just go ahead and navigate to that website, and your answers can pop up in regards to just some short answers or some open-ended answers, if you will. What have you heard about EDDs and PhDs? Maybe that's a better word instead of versus. What have you heard about both degrees? And if you want to open up your mic, please feel free to do so. Dr. Beeman, for sure, more than welcome. And I saw you, I appreciate the question that you posted on the feed loop as well.
Hi, good morning, afternoon. I'm not sure exactly which time zone you all are in. Can you hear me?
Sir.
Yes.
All right, hope you all are doing well. I've been having problems with this feed crashing in and out. So if you've been seeing me dart in and dart out, I apologize for that. But one of the main things that I have heard in regards to this question, and hopefully a few potential students are listening to this, PhDs versus EDDs, it's a very interesting world. And I have one of my best friends is an EDD and I am a PhD. And we don't bump heads at all because we understand the world, or at least we understand our respective roles, because there are a lot of instructors out there that get caught up into this whole ego-driven thing, because on paper, from what I've read and from what I've observed, the PhD is quote unquote supposed to be the apex of all degrees. That includes JDs, EDDs, MDs, everything. And while that may be true and may be factual, a doctorate is a doctorate in my eyes. You are at the apex level of you have a doctorate. And where a lot of people get lost with that is that they lose sight of the objectives of pursuing a PhD or an EDD and focus more so on the status and the collar popping of the situation, rather than seeing what can they do to add to the lore of science, or what can they do to build the educational infrastructure of our world? And I think that's where a lot of that gets lost, if you ask my personal opinion.
Oh,
And I'm not sure if you all have covered that, because again, I've been darting in and out trying to stay in, but that's just my 2 cents
Right.
on it.
No, this is great. We're actually heading that direction. And Dex, we probably need to kick it up in a little bit. We are looking at about 15 minutes or so.
Yep.
But Dr. Beeman, I appreciate you throwing that out, because that was one of the major things that I considered when I first dove into, which degree I'd like to attain or what program I wanted to, get admitted into. The biggest thing that I found, PhDs are naturally more common. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Harvard University, and I believe Harvard University was one of the areas that one of the universities that initially created EDD programs, education programs. And I could be wrong, but I know for a fact that they made them more popular. Well, upon my research, what I found, and naturally growing up, if you see a doctor that's not a medical doctor, and typically they would have PhDs. So that was one of my main questions. I'm not going to spend, 3-4 years, working hard to pursue something that's deemed lesser in a sense. So what I found upon that research before joining my program was PhDs, and we'll cover it, and obviously you touched on it right here, Dex. Naturally, they are heavier in research, and more PhD degrees were catered towards the instructional piece and or higher education specifically. And the doctorate of education was always an administrative focus. So again, it allowed that flexibility to move in and out of higher education, but also through higher education, whether it be student affairs, executive leadership positions. So not that a PhD can't do that, because they absolutely can, but the type of coursework, the way the programs are designed, naturally cater more towards someone who knows they're not taking the faculty route and they're moving towards executive leadership. So that was one thing I found, Dr. Beeman, and it's good to see you, by the way.
Oh, thank you. It's great that you all have me. It's great speaking with you as well, because it's been a minute.
Definitely.
Just real quick, I don't want to say I'll go through this fast, but I'll definitely like some points. But like Julian said, heavier in research in regards to the strength of a PhD. Typically, the program is geared towards training scholars to publish, to write, present at national conferences, and also achieve the tenure within the faculty track. So those are your professors on the university's campus and things of that nature. Not saying that EDDs can't, because I have seen EDDs instruct, but at the same time, typically your PhDs are trying to work towards achieving tenure within a higher education setting. And then broader options. I think Julian kind of touched base on this a little bit as well. It seems like there is students have a much easier time finding a degree program that is an PhD. I'm one of the first to graduate from Ohio State with an EDD, specifically in higher education and student affairs. So we just came online in 2017. So before then, there was PhDs that have been around for a while, EDDs that we weren't, type of thing, in higher education, specifically in student affairs at Ohio State. And then funding programs, PhD programs typically tend to fully fund student tuition, provide them with a stipend, and also give them a place to live and lay their head. So we'll go through this real quick, and then Dr. Springer come in on the strengths of the EDD real quick.
Okay, quickly. Again, as I mentioned, administrative focus prepares graduates for administrative leadership positions. And the focus is to train degree recipients to solve problems and challenges. So again, more practical over philosophical. So focusing on seeking solutions that are directly applicable. First-time staff and students typically have well-paying full-time jobs that support them through their degree program, which is different from maybe a PhD program where you're allowed undergraduate degree and you can go right into your PhD program, and less professional experience is required. And again, more often than not, similar in my experience, I was the first to graduate from my newly started program as well. You have a cohort within EDD programs. These are professionals and colleagues that have like-minded experiences. They may work in the same realm of higher education, or they may do something totally different, but you're all in it together with the goal of completing this degree around the same time. So you can move on, Dex. Let's get through it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is something that not necessarily we want you to answer, but this is a question that we want you to think about as if you are thinking about pursuing a terminal degree. So what are your desired components of a program? What do you want to see? What is your, Dr. Beeman said it on the feed loop, what is the ultimate goal that you want? And this is a question that you have to ponder before even hopefully taking a step towards the application process or anything like that, or asking someone to support you through a reference letter or a recommendation letter. So the program selection process for us, basically you do exploratory research, see exactly what type of courses that you're going to be taking, see what the professors, what their research interests are, and try to align yourself with one of those individuals in order to partner with them on some research opportunities and things of that nature. What does the application process looks like? Do you have to take to GRE? Luckily for me, I didn't, because we got to a point where it was like, you know what, this test is, it doesn't reflect on how well these students are going to do. So I didn't have to take the GRE, but I did have to write a letter of entrance or a purpose statement, and then have 3 professionals support me in regards to references. The financial component, how is it going to be paid for? Do you work for an institution or a company that's going to pay for it? Or are you going to have to take out a student loan, or are you going to pay for it yourself? So you really have to think about that in regards to what does this look like for the financial component of this program or this opportunity. And then student support provided. Figure out exactly what the cohort is going to be like, what's going to be your advisor to advisee relationship. What is going to be, can you develop a mentor-mentee type of relationship to a person that went through the program before you? What does that look like for you? You want to figure those things out before you even get into it, so you don't get into it and then all of a sudden you're shocked by not having the infrastructure that you need to be successful. And then ultimately ask yourself this question: do I want to be a faculty member? Typically faculty members in higher education, they have the PhDs, or do I want to be a practitioner or on the administrative side of a university setting? And typically those people have EDDs, but not only EDDs, some practitioners or administrators are PhDs or PsycDs and all sorts of stuff. So just give you a little bit in regards to the PhD and the EDD process.
Okay, and we have about 5 minutes. This is another slide that we felt was really important. Reasons why people don't finish. Number 1 is the time commitment. Everyone is busy. Everyone. If you've made it to a point where you've thought about this degree program or attaining a terminal degree, you're probably successful and you're probably busy. So again, it's really just looking at your situation, figuring out how to dive in. This is not just your degree. This is, if you're married with a family, this is something that you and your wife discuss, or your husband or your partner, you guys discuss. Is this something that we can do right now? And if we do, we're both pushing forward in this setting. If you have kids, like, you have to figure out a way to get this done. If you don't have a family, this is for your immediate family, parents, cousins. You are changing the trajectory of your family's life. So again, these are things that allow you to push forward with the motivation. Poor time management. A lot of people just don't think they have the time, and when things get hard, you hit that part of adversity within the program. It's easy to say, man, I just don't have time, I'm putting this off. Lack of mentorship. Find people that want you to finish. Find people that are invested in you. Find people that have done this. It was many times I push Dr. Shorter through and say, hey, it's not the end of the world, tough night, get through it. And lastly, as I mentioned, the dissertation process. Get it done. Use your resources by any means. And we'll cover this at another time, but I really wanted to touch on these areas because you can always think of a reason why you can't finish. So
Sure.
go ahead, Dan.
And I know we got 3 minutes, and we were going to explain some of our experiences, and I'm not sure we have time, Julian.
Yeah, we can move past.
Yeah, we can definitely share our email addresses, but at the same time, this is an important slide too. Do you have what it takes? To be honest with you, you can only answer that. I do believe that Julian and I will have that same answer if we were answering that question for you. The answer is yes. You are smart.
Absolutely.
Are you interested in? What are you motivated by? Can you be disciplined enough and be dedicated enough? And are you interested in answering a why? That's what dissertation and a research question is about. But also just being mindful of, it's a section of your life. We spent 4 years doing it. It was just a short-term pain. And now we're going to be called Dr. Shorter, Dr. Springer, Dr. Beeman for the rest of our lives. No one can take that away from us, no matter what. So we hope that we accomplish all these things. We're just revisiting the objectives and the learning outcomes in regards to understanding the strengths and differences, articulating the value of what it means to be a doctor, a PhD or ED, and then discuss some of the obstacles and opportunities of being a grad student while balancing priorities. This is our email address. Please feel free. Email addresses. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have.
Please.
Absolutely. I know
you can do it. You can do it.
Most definitely. I know we're about to get cut off of the feed loop, but we'll happily stay on for a couple of minutes and answer any questions that you might have. I know Cass, you are still on.
Yes.
Dr. Meeman, if you want to engage with us, for a couple of minutes, please feel free to do so. But at the end, just want to say thank you so much for spending some time with us. If you're watching later, thank you so much for just really circling back and trying to engage with us within this discussion. We feel like it was very important, and I really wanted to just inspire and motivate you to really go for this degree. If you're thinking about it, if this is something that you want to do, it will quickly weed someone out if you're not ready. But at the same time, if your mind is right, if this is something that you've been thinking about, even a small percentage, I don't care if it's 5%, keep talking until you build up the percentage, and then you take steps in the right direction to make sure that you're in a program, and then just surround yourself like a success team, if you will, of people who are going to push you in the right direction and make sure you finish. Dr. Springer, Dr. Beeman, you guys have anything before the feed loop kicks off?
Just want to say thanks again. It's no doubt that anyone on this call can get this done. Our emails are here. If you want to reach out, please do. I'm not just saying that. Reach out. I can definitely share my story. And if you need someone to encourage you as well, we're here.